the worst way to start a presentation?
With the question.
That's the best way. The worst way, it's going to come up in a second, is with hello. Unless you're Adele or Lionel Richie. We've got a little problem here with the slides. It wasn't working. So if I start like, my name's Neve Taylor, and I'm a speaker coach, and I'm going to talk to you about pitch and presentation skills, and we're going to cover blah, 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 blah. What is so wrong with that? I know you know it, whoever said. What is so wrong with it? It's boring, it's predictable, and it's dull. It has absolutely no impact. And just like the first time you meet anybody in life, your first few critical moments, when you don't want the tech to go wrong, are so important when you open your pitch. Don't blow them by saying your name and saying what you're going to talk about. You know, musicians, they always say, rehearse the hell out of the beginning and the end, because no one's going to remember if you make a mistake in the middle. So if you can't say hello, how do you start? I'm going to give you three good ways to open a pitch or a presentation. The first thing you do, what was it? Ask a question. Yeah, brilliant. Why does that work? What happens in your brain when I ask you a question? Do you see what I did there? You wake up, you engage, you listen. Your brain is not lazy. It is compelled to consider my question, whether you care for it or not. It starts a process. It starts an interaction. You see light bulbs going off above people's heads when you ask them questions. Just jump straight in, as you suggested, and ask that question. The second way is story. Pitches that fail to tell a story. Agree? Disagree? Behind me, I've got some ingredients. But is it a cake? No? Is it a cake? No. It's ingredients, they're facts. Your pitch has components. Problem, demo, pain, solution, investment, traction, financials. Those are all the ingredients of your pitch. You make it cake. The elements have to mix together and be bound in a story, a thread, an emotion, a passion. When you add your passion for your business and your credibility, it becomes cake. Don't underestimate the power of story and its influence. I mean, it's not just a nice thing to do in business now. It is a necessity. It's expected. You can't buy a jar of pasta sauce without an origin story about the tomatoes. As Muriel Rukeyser said, the universe is made of stories, not atoms. The third way is surprise. The element of surprise, especially when you have facts or data to share. Start and open with a shocking, surprising, interesting piece of data. One of my favorite pieces was by one of the Dojo founders at Coin Survey. In their investment pitch, they asked, did you know that 64% of British people surveyed would like to have sex with a robot? Who knew? But it got your interest, right? Or you could go as far as Bill Gates and open up a box of mosquitoes, 10,000 mosquitoes buzzing around the auditorium while you're talking about malaria and Africa, and you can stand there like him and say, why should only poor people get the experience? It's not just what you say, it's also how you say it. And here we've got the 7 Ps of performance. And here I'm talking about your physiology, your vocal tone, your quality, your energy, all those body language gestures. You see people doing all sorts of bizarre physicalities on stage, distracting us and creating a barrier. So I coach you in the 7 Ps, especially your parlance. And with a tech crowd here, it's very important to remember not to speak tech jargon, to keep your pitch clean, accessible, simple. At Apple, we used to say, teach my grandmother to use an iPhone and you can sell it. Keep it clean. Make sure your physiology is working for you and not against you. Who here thinks that charisma is a gift? Is it something you're born with? Is it natural born gift? You got it or you haven't got it? Anyone think it's learned? Great, I'm with you. I believe it's learned. It is a skill you can learn and practice. It's very important to have different qualities of energy and vocal tone in your presenting. Monotone kills us. It doesn't matter whether you pitch it high or pitch it low. If you go on one note, we switch off. We just can't listen to it. So great speakers add different qualities into their pitch. It might be just for a split second. It might be a moment. It might be a pause. But it gives us a variety and a dynamism and a musicality to the delivery that makes it very engaging. And just let me demo a few here. So we've got 4 qualities of charisma here. So for example, the first one is the guru. This is a medium sound wave. It's clarity. When you want to put your message across clearly, it's focused, it's precise, it's almost rhythmic, hypnotic. It has incredible presence. I'm mid-range pitch, I'm mid-range volume, but I'm incredibly clear. Then we have the director. It's punchy, it's gestural, it's sharp, it's a sharp, short sound wave. It's bold, it has authority, it has influence. Yes, we can. It's direct. It has a lower breath placement, a higher volume. And then we have the angel. This is the charisma of empathy. It can be just a whisper, a moment in your presentation when you just want to connect. You might be sharing a personal story. You might want to show a touch of vulnerability. It's empathic, it's warm, it's speaking from the heart. And you might touch on it for a second to get a beautiful connection with your audience. And then we've got the entertainer. So this is a mixed sound wave. It's medium and then it's fast. If you make a mistake, do the entertainer. It's playful, it's sarcastic, it's humorous, it's dramatic, it's passionate. The passion of your business. You care about this more than anyone else. Let it shine with the entertainer. It's a tool. And all of these qualities are tools. And if you can touch on them for just a second to add this variety of quality to your delivery, you will engage with people on a completely different plane. Now, what about content? So here's my pitch burger. It's the building blocks of your pitch. You can see that the opening is very important. Well, the bread is very important. You've got this surprising opening, and we've got this incredibly sticky, authentic close, where you might ask for something, an invitation or an ask, a passion statement about your business. That's the taste you're leaving in your investors' mouths. And in the fillings, we've got the talking points in the pitch. You can change the structure, don't have to include them all. But what needs to happen is a very clear pain to solution journey that your investor can tap into and understand what the opportunity is to invest in. That is your story, problem to solution, that your business is solving a real problem in the real world, and that's the investment. So these techniques are all very well, right? Yeah, we can all do that, burgers and things, but what if you get hijacked? Yeah, the fight or flight response. Anyone here anxious about speaking? I don't expect you to raise your hand. But if you are, you're not alone. Like, it's normal, it's human. It's our most primal, natural human response. This is not normal. We're not designed for this. The fight or flight response is triggered by the amygdala. It's a little gland at the base of our brain. And when we see hundreds of pairs of eyes looking at us like now, that amygdala goes, oh, you're going to be someone's lunch. You're going to be eaten. You've got to run or you've got to fight. So all the adrenaline rushes into your body, your heart speeds up so you can run, your vision sharpens so you can see an escape route. You become slippery so that you're more difficult to catch. And above all, you lose language because you can't negotiate with a bear. It's of no use to you in the fight or flight response. But unfortunately, it's exactly what you need when you step on a stage. And that feeling of going blank or just losing it or it all goes dark for a second, that is your physiology kicking in to save your life. But it's okay because we've got breathing techniques and focus exercises, and you can do these very simple things to quell that response and make sure you maintain your language and stay articulate and stay focused. So what's my story? Well, it's a bit of a Venn diagram. Actor, trainer, corporates. And at 10 years at Apple and Google, I learned and realized very quickly how important it was to be able to speak to influence. And I also saw how difficult it was for so many people. And so that's where my skills sit. I coach individuals and organizations in pitch and presentation skills. I'm very privileged to be the pitch coach for Block Dojo. I'm sure you all know it's an incredible, incredible incubator with so much success in such a short period of time. 41 founders so far and counting, 6 million in investment. So speaking is a skill that sits on a spectrum. We're all dotted along, but no one is born at the top. We don't pop out with a monologue. Even Steve Jobs practiced. It is something you have to practice. You have to go through it. You can't go around it. He built a mock stage in Cupertino. 8 weeks before each keynote, he would walk, talk, rehearse, much like an actor, because he was terrified and because he knew he wasn't very good at it. You're going to have to pitch hundreds of times in the course of your business. Don't leave the language of your business to chance. It should be by design, not accident. Investors invest in people, not just ideas. So be passionate, be credible, be authentically you, and speak your way to success. Thank you.
Thanks, Neve. I can see why you do what you do. You are very good at it. I guess you're probably all wondering what this is in my hand. This is a omnidirectional speaker, which I'll be launching into the crowd for your burning questions. So I do hope that you have some. If not, I might just throw it at you, and if you catch it, you've got to ask a question. That's the game we're going to play if you don't ask. So I hope you've got some questions. We're setting up the stage. Today's theme is all about revenue generation with blockchain. So we're going to make sure we prioritize questions that are around this theme, as well as any for Neve, of course, on pitching. If you've got any burning questions for Neve, she'll be able to answer them as well. So with the stage pretty much good to go, I'm going to introduce my blockchain experts who'll be joining Neve up on the stage. So we've got Joshua Henslee, author and technical editor for CoinGeek. He can't get enough of this stage. We have Lars Jacob Boe, senior partner for Bain Norway. And that's it. And Neve's coming back too. Up you come. Okay, so we also are taking questions virtually, as you guys already know, so I hope some questions will be coming in. So I'm going to start off with one that we got virtually, first of all, to get things going, warm you guys up a bit. So the first question is kind of, the public versus private blockchain kind of conundrum. Why would businesses put data on a public blockchain? You're nodding, Joshua, so I'm going to throw that to you.
Yeah, so I believe the reason, and I spoke about this earlier, was that if you have an immutable public ledger that everyone can see what's happening, immutable just means you can't change it. Mm-hmm. And I think the first thing people leap to was, what if you make a mistake? Then you just correct it, but it's also public. So you can see the error, and then you can see the correction publicly. So when your companies A through Z, you all look at that one reference, and you say, okay, I can just put that in any public block explorer for whatever blockchain, and I'm going to get the same thing back. Other than communicating between different servers and different integration points that are custom and have cost and risk, it's better to do it that way, which unfortunately we haven't seen that adopted, but that's why you would do it. And you can also encrypt data on chain, which is a whole nother subject, but that's why you would do it, is you have a single source of truth versus 7 servers that are supposed to be the truth. It's like, which one is correct?
Yeah, well, thank you for clearing that up. I know for a lot of people there's kind of a bit of a mental minefield around that, so really appreciate your knowledge. Right, anyone in the audience have a question? I don't know how this could go. You know, think of it as a very expensive beach ball. Okay. Don't know if the lady in front of you realizes I'm about to lob this. You ready to catch this? Yeah, I'm talking about you. You ready? Oh. Boom! She caught it! Thank God.
So, hi, my name is Evelyn from Dublin. My question is, how can businesses use generative AI and blockchain to make money?
We're all looking at you.
Who wants to take that?
Yeah, I can make an attempt. How can businesses make use of blockchain and AI? Well, AI is both a question in and of itself, because it has to do with algorithms that will enable you to make better decisions. It's a big topic in and of itself, but I think the point to make here is that blockchain and AI work well together. Mm-hmm. Because blockchain means oceans of data. AI likes that. Blockchain means the data is true. You can trust it. One of the bigger problems in the AI industry is that you actually, if you give the AI machine the wrong data, it will come up with the wrong answer. I just spoke to a person the other day that had convinced ChatGPT that 2 + 2 was 5. With blockchain, you avoid that, because what you have is actually true. The input is true. So I think AI and blockchain will somehow move together. They will integrate. And I think people that base their AI algorithms on blockchain data will trust the outcome better and will be able to do more things. So I think these things are extremely well linked and coordinated. And of course, the question is broader in terms of how do you make money from this? I mean, that book is being written as we speak. There's a lot of ways to make money from AI, of course.
Thank you. Yep, go on, Joshua.
So I think the qualification was generative, if I remember correctly. What I think is going to happen is the prompts and the results will be put on a ledger. So you have a timestamp that happened. Because right now it's all on whoever's servers, right? Like if you make a prompt, I don't know what you did and I don't know the output. People are posting screenshots everywhere, but they could have doctored them. I don't think that's happening, but I'm just saying. Yeah. And obviously some people are getting good at tweaking it with the prompts, like you mentioned. I mean, obviously this guy somehow hacked it to do, which I don't even know if I'd call that a hack, because like you said, the wrong answers, right? And we already know that it's politicized. But if you can prove that these things happen, especially when the person putting them on chain, they get a reputation to say who is good at getting it to actually output something productive. Mm-hmm. And they can prove it, say, look, all these transaction IDs, I own the address that did it. I'm the one that did these prompts. And then people already know they're looking for folks that can make these prompts work. Companies are looking for that. And I know of a company in the BSV space that's going to make a market for all this stuff. So I think that's a natural way. And then the other thing is to sign up. I know at the beginning you had lots of demand and there was traffic and you couldn't necessarily get on. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine and a guy who's very active developer, he made a bot called Ask Happy, and you can pay 4 cents for a prompt, Mid-Journey, whatever. And I like that because I don't have to give them my phone number, my email, my name, because the thing is we know those guys are going to mine our data just like Google did. But I'd rather pay a little bit of money and get a prompt, and they don't know who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question and great answers, guys. Thank you. Anyone else from the audience want the mic thrown at them?
Yeah, hi. My question is almost at the opposite end of the previous question. Speaking to this. Yeah.
It feels very strange, but we can hear you now.
So one of the promises of Web3 is that we actually own our own data, and Web 1 was just like a brochure. Web 2 is more interactive, where we are right now. Web 3, I can charge providers to actually have and use my data. How close to that are we, and how real is that?
Does anyone want to take that question?
I would say that with nano payments, which we do have today on the BSV platform, this is possible already today. And then I think I see Latif down there. He will also tell me that IPv6 will be an important part of this, that you actually roll out IPv6. So there's a technological requirement for that to fully take off. Because with IPv6, you have more IP addresses. You could actually identify yourself. So it's easy to do these transactions. But, I mean, we are already there, so it's more a question of how fast will it pick up, I think. Internet took some years before it reached a certain volume. ChatGPT used 5 days in order to get to 5 million. I think we're in between there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're already there. It's just people don't know about it. So there's many apps built on BSV that allow you to like a post of someone's and it's on the blockchain. They signed it with their keys and they build a reputation over time and they get paid for every interaction. It's called Twitch. So that exists today. There's a bunch of other social media clients where they can make profiles on chain and they just have a chain of posts where they have and people can interact. One of the best ones I think that's going to take off is there's this concept called Club on this NFT market called RelayX, where a social post always has the context of an NFT, and you can actually list it for sale. So you have a social media post, in the context you have a buy button, and if they sell it to you and you want to buy, you just hit buy, and you have it immediately. And then royalties flow, payments flow to the exchange, they get their cut, and it's all just seamless. But no one knows about this stuff because no one thinks Bitcoin's capable of it, but it is. So that stuff is here, just no one knows about it. I hope it takes off soon. But it's going to be funny because it's starting to pick up steam now that we can do this stuff.
Yeah, so the foundation's already there. It's just about telling the masses, get everyone involved and on board, basically. Yeah. Does anyone else have a question? Got a couple of hands going up in the back.
Hello.
Well done. The mic's been thrown over there.
Hi. I just wanted to ask what your opinion of the consequences of blockchain are, for example, in the financial sector, with specifically being central bank digital currencies. Do you think they're good for everyone trying to understand it, and do you see any ramifications going forward with the use of it?
Well, I think most central banks are looking into these questions today. I'm convinced that it's going to be for the good, because it will enable people to do transactions without taking the risk of a currency that is not backed up by an asset or a central bank. So I think central bank digital currency, stable coins, etc., will be increasingly important for this to take off. I mean, today, I mean, you do transactions with BSV or with Bitcoin. If you don't transfer back to fiat pretty immediately, you risk that this will go up and down, maybe with a few percentages every day. So to have the stable coins will actually put more trust into the system, and people will use it more. And I think that will contribute to the efficiency that we talked about earlier today. And then I think that central banks are going to spend quite a lot of time to figure this thing out. They're going slowly into this. The interesting thing is that the emerging markets is going faster than the more developed markets in this area. But we also see banks, for instance, issuing stable coins. And the last thing I also heard was that some banks now offer the opportunity to do an NFT on your bank account, so that you can actually, in a way, guarantee the coins that you can pay with your own NFTs, which is backed up by your own deposit account. So back to the situation that what I talked about earlier today, there will be opportunities for banks in this area as well. But overall, I think the stablecoin CBDC is going to be for the good. It's going to create more trust, and it's going to make more people use it.
And we've got a couple of sessions on stablecoins, a Swiss franc stablecoin, and just a session on stablecoins generally later on this afternoon, so you probably want to stick around for that. Based on time, I'd say we've got time for just a couple more questions. Anyone else? Some hands were going up over here. There we go.
Hi, first of all, this is awesome. Really happy that it's happening right now. I'm involved with a music industry disruptive platform, and I just wanted to know, how do you navigate, because obviously you can have a really amazing idea, but without the investment and the backing, it's very difficult. We've been doing it for like over 5 years now. We've got to a really good point, but how do you navigate trying to convince old school intellectual property investors over the new school, literally that the old school don't really understand the technology or the vision or where it can go? How do you navigate that? Where can you go from that? And yeah, just appreciative for this question and being here. Thank you.
That's a great question. Anyone want to take that?
I would argue that it's kind of, I don't think it's a good idea, because they're entrenched in the traditional financial system, and I think Bitcoin disrupts that whole model. So trying to convince them is, you have to show them, not tell, right? Just like myself, I didn't get into it until I saw the price going to $8,000 and I read the white paper in 2017. I had heard about it in 2014, and I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. And I didn't ask questions either. I didn't care enough to even ask, but I should have. But this economy is growing with the people that have the coin, and they're interested, and it's just going to grow. And I think it's going to suck everything in. And at that point, that's when they come back after someone tried to convince them. They say, hey, what's up with this? So I think it'll just naturally do it, and then it justifies it, right? If they don't want to hear it, then they don't want to hear it. But if it grows to get so big, then they're just going to come in. They don't need to be convinced.
It's like what you said earlier about, the kid dragging the parent into the park. Like, oh, go on then. It's like at some point you're going to have to conform, because natural evolution is going to take you that way, and you'd be left behind if you don't get involved.
I think.
Go ahead.
I think it's also a question of having sufficient number of people actually using it, because at some point it becomes critical mass and it explodes. And I think back to the discussion we had earlier today, the regulatory side of this is also quite important. That it's regulated in ways which means that banks and others, wealth managers, will produce these products that you can invest in. So I think it's a question of also watching the space, because at some point there will be, we will reach an inflection point. The inflection point is when more and more people get to know about it. It becomes an exponential growth. And my personal view is that we're getting close to that now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. Time for one more question. Does anyone have a question on pitching for Neve?
I was just going to say to that lady, major in on what your problem your business solves. An investor wants an opportunity and wants to make money. Blockchain is by the by. Do your customers need to know you use blockchain? Solve the problem and sell the idea in that way. And blockchain is your business, not theirs.
Hello, hi. My name is Imtiaz Hussain. I have a wealth management business in London and Dubai, and I'm also an entrepreneur and investor. So my question is this new blockchain technology, how it can solve the problems for the clients, for the wealth management business, and how about what changes it will bring in the wealth management industry?
Well, there are many, first of all, this is not a silver bullet that solves everything. It will, a few things. First of all, new products will always be good for wealth managers, because it actually then provides you with a more diverse portfolio. I mean, all portfolio managers know that. So these digital assets will be good in that sense. Second of all, I think the whole trading process, where today there is the day you trade, it takes 3 days before the assets are transferred, T+3. Here you can do this immediately, meaning you don't need to have the liquidity and the cash and the capital behind those 3 days. And so there's efficiency involved in this. I mean, it's not that it solves everything, it just becomes more efficient, it becomes more available, more investors will be able to invest in more type of products, they will have abilities or opportunities to create more optimal portfolios. So this is in a way a contribution to the investment society, and I don't believe that it's going to be the only thing, because there will be physical assets here as well. But clearly, when only 10%, I think, of the real estate market is available for investments for investors, it's evident that if you can liquidize the other 90%, or at least part of that, that will offer new opportunities for investors. So it's new opportunities, it's availability for investors that do not have the ability or availability to invest in these type of assets today. And I think the third thing is that working with the private equity industry, they are mainly collecting money from institutional investors, from such as pension funds, etc., and private wealth, meaning high net worth individuals. The big mass market where most people do not have access to private equity. It's too complicated. If you now can tokenize these shares, you can actually attack or reach the entire private mass market that will then have availability to invest in private equity. These things are happening today. And a lot of private equity companies are thinking about this, how to actually do that. And platforms are evolving that will allow regular people to invest in private equity, which is a new asset class and which will be good for them.
Thank you, Lars, and thank you all for your brilliant questions and getting involved and participating. That brings us to the end of our Q&A session, but it's back again tomorrow with a different theme, mind, so check the schedule to find out what that is, and make sure you get those burning questions in so I can throw the mic at you again tomorrow. And thank you to Joshua, Lars and Neve. Thank you, Neve. I know you didn't get us to answer as many questions as I'd like, but thank you for being here. If you could come off the stage, that would be fantastic. Thank you.